So I'm just going to show you, because it's actually quite common where people are downloading the records twice, how to do it. You hit the select button and you're going to download, and OCLC says, wait, you've already downloaded this. Are you sure? Because most people don't want the same records over and over again. So you say, yes, okay, I know what I'm doing. I want to download my file. I want to save as. And then I would save it as something like the date number 2. And that way I can tell the difference between the blank one and the not blank one. Okay, tells you when you downloaded it. So for those of you who have issues with the pop-up blocker, if you can't get it fixed with your IT person, if you don't want to download it twice, or for whatever reason that's not working for you, another option is to use a different browser. My suggestion is to use Chrome. I like Chrome. I'm using it quite a bit. It's great because all my bookmarks are saved across multiple computers and my iPad. Otherwise, I highly recommend Firefox, which I've just pulled up here. It has actually better security than Internet Explorer in some cases. The one thing you have to change when you are in Firefox is that you have to go to Tools, Options, and set it so that it asks you where to download your files. Then you can tell it to download it to that OCLC folder. Otherwise, it's going to download it to your Downloads folder, which is the default. Okay, so I have it, instead of Save Files to Downloads, I have it always ask me where to save files. So that when I go back in here, and all I've done is just logged in the same way in OCLC, into OCLC through Firefox instead of Internet Explorer. And you can see it tells me still I've downloaded that file at 10:01 Central Time. So I'm going to select it, I'm going to download it. It asks me the same thing, you've previously downloaded this file, are you sure you want to do this again? And I hit OK because I know what I'm doing. So now it popped up and it wants to know where I want to save this file. And so I'm going to hit, or it asks me whether I want to open it or save it. First I'm going to say Save File. Now it wants me to navigate to where I want to go. The last time I was in here, I was downloading OCLC records, so that's why it points to my C drive OCLC folder. So I'm just going to call this one Firefox Download, just so I can keep them straight. So I'm going to save that, and it downloads it. I don't need my download window open for Firefox. So that's just one alternative. Chrome, I do not believe you have to adjust any settings. Let's see, I need to check here. So in Chrome, let's see how it works. I download. Okay, I know I want to download it. And it does, again, navigate. It wants me to navigate to where I want to save the file. So in this case, it's brought me to my downloads. I don't want to put it in my downloads. I want to put it in my C drive. So I go down to my computer, C drive, OCLC folder. We'll call this Chrome download. Okay. So there, I've downloaded it in each of the browsers that people would use. So like I said, if you're having problems with Internet Explorer, I highly recommend switching to another browser, if that's possible for you. Otherwise, talk to your IT person. Okay, and your IT person can probably help you download another browser too. So now that you've downloaded your files, I'm going to bring this back to Internet Explorer. Now that you've downloaded your files, you are done with Internet Explorer for now. You've put your files on your computer right in front of you. So the next thing you do is you go into Horizon. So you load your Horizon, or you open it through Citrix. So remember that you are using Horizon off of a computer somewhere in Rochester. Your Horizon is not running off of the computer right in front of you. So that kind of complicates this process a bit. So you go in to Horizon, And for those of you following along on the piece of paper, we have completed number 2. We have downloaded our file. And so we are now going to step 3, importing OCLC records into Horizon. So step 3 begins with going into Horizon. All right. So we go into Horizon, and under the cataloging folder, there's something called import. Double-click that. Now stop here and make sure your settings are correct. You can see mine are not correct. I was doing some other things recently, loading in some files for a new school that's coming on. So you want to make sure that your import source is always OCLC and you're not loading in items, so that's why it says no items. We'll get to the import file in a minute. Your overlay bibs should be never, and your overlay auths should be always. Your overlay if new auth use code validated, always. Overlay if auth use code invalidated, always. You want to make sure, this is really important, that this create new bib if not overlaid box is checked. Otherwise you're going to run into some problems. If there's an on-order record in the computer system and you're loading in the full bib record, you will never get the full bib record if this box is not checked. Because it'll keep seeing the on-order record and it'll say, Horizon will say, but you've already got a record. You don't want this record. And you're going to say, yes, I do want this record because I want to merge them. So create new bib if not overlaid. Create new auth if not overlaid. And make sure your bib status is IP. Your items are never and never. And that's pretty much all you have to worry about. You don't have to worry about the second page. Now, these settings are all on that handout right here. Okay, so you just want to make sure, this is really important, that the overlay bibs is never. That's really important. That the create new bib if not overlaid box is checked, and that your status is IP. Okay. So your new bib status is IP. You've got all your settings correct. Now these settings you only have to set once per login by your name, so whatever your login is to Horizon. This setting up here, the import file source, you have to change it once per day, every time you log in. So right now it's navigating me to the M drive, which is Citrix. And that's not helpful because the file I downloaded from OCLC is actually on the C drive in front of, and on the computer in front of me. So I need to go to File, and I need to browse to my C drive. So my computer, C drive, OCLC folder. And here are those 4 files that I downloaded. Now, this is where some people ask me, can I save these files on my desktop? If you saved them on your desktop, this is where you're going to run into problems, because Citrix makes navigating to your desktop even more difficult. Let me show you. So if you want to get to your desktop, you can't just hit that, because that desktop takes you to Citrix's desktop, to whatever computer you've remoted into. That's its desktop. So to get to your desktop on the computer in front of you, you have to go to My Computer, C Drive, Users, whatever you're logged in as, Staff. I'm logged in as me. And then Desktop. And so that's, now this is my desktop. So this is a lot of extra steps when it's just as easy to go to C, OCLC folder, and it's all right there. It's a lot shorter of a path. So I'm going to just take that first record that I exported out of Internet Explorer, and I'm going to hit Open. And you can see now this has changed from M to C. OCLC, OCLC, everything looks good, so I'm going to hit OK. Now I've used these records as a test many times, so we'll see if I get any errors. So, no, looks like they're coming in fine. So I've loaded these records into Horizon. So great, you've had no errors. So if you did get errors at this point, The most common error is a duplicate bib, and that's because we already have an on-order record. I'll try to show you one of those too if we have time, just to show you how to merge. So I'm going to close this because I've got 3 new bibs and I've got no error messages down here. Close. And now you need to find those 3 records. Now presumably you have the books in front of you, so you can always search by title author. You could search by or title browse, I suppose. You can do an ISBN exact search and find your records. Another way to find your records that you've imported is to go here to searching, go to new editions, and view new titles. So this is something that Horizon does and resets every night. Every 24 hours it resets. So 24 hours ago, roughly, this record was loaded into Horizon. The most recent records are at the bottom, which is frustrating. It would be so much more useful if they were at the top, but I have asked CERC Dynex if we can do that, and their response has been no. It's hard-coded into the software that the most recent new title gets loaded into the bottom. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But you go down to the bottom, and there are the 3 records that I imported from Horizon, or from OCLC, sorry. So I send those to the MARC editor, and at this point you're going to edit the record. So I've looked at these records many times, so you would browse your subject headings, you would fix a GMD if you needed to have a GMD here, which I don't. You look for any errors in the fixed fields and fix those. And once you've finished completing your record, verifying that everything is correct, you go up to the exclamation point and you change it to cataloging complete. That is the indication to other libraries in SELCO that they can now circulate items, that somebody has looked through everything on the record and made sure it's correct, that it certainly matches the item you have in hand, and that it has been edited to local standards. Okay? So I'm going to end up deleting these records out so I can do them again for the afternoon session. So I'm not really going to do a lot of editing to them. So that is basically the OCLC process in a nutshell. You've successfully brought in 3 records. They have their OCLC numbers in them, which is really important for the reclamation process. If you're wondering about the OCLC number, this prefix tells the computer, tells OCLC basically how many digits follow it. So the M means there's 8 digits. If there's an N, there's 9 digits. In July, they're coming out with a new one because they've run out of numbers. It's going to be ON, and it's going to mean 10 digits. This is here, and I just suggest leaving it. You don't want to delete this out. It's not worth the time. This is here because some libraries use the OCLC number as their, basically their unique identifier, their 001 tag. You don't see our 001 tag in the MARC, and you see it up here as our bib record, or bib number. But it is when you pull out records, like when I pull out records to send them to OCLC or Marchive or to Aqua Browser, the bib number is in an 001 tag. So some libraries use their OCLC number as an 001 tag. Because we don't, it gets stuck into the 035 as sort of a different format as this one. We have a box checked that sort of tells it to do this. I've tried unchecking the box to disaster, so just leave them. It's not a huge deal. Okay, so let's see if there's any questions about this. Okay, I have tried this before. What kind of error are you getting, Cindy? At what point are you getting the error? When you load it into Horizon, you get an error? Are you getting a misstrike number? When you import, I'm going to re-import my file just to show you guys what a misstrike looks like. Okay, so I'm importing that same file. So I'm importing the same 3 records. Is this what you're getting, Cindy? Like a mark import batch number 2000? Yeah, okay. So what I'm going to need you to do is next time you get one of these numbers, email it to me, because I need to go into the misstrike file and type in the batch number like I'm showing here and see what the error is. Okay. Then once I see the error, I can generally track down what the problem is. I'm guessing it's, are you using Internet Explorer? Okay. Internet Explorer tends to have a lot of problems on that export. That happens with both browsers. Okay. Yeah. All right. Don't have to see what your error is. You don't happen to have an example. Yeah, you could probably try Chrome and see if that works. I don't know anybody who's run into problems with Chrome, but I don't think that many people are using it. Most people are using IE for this process. So, yeah, next time, do you have any books kind of waiting for you to do this process to right now, so that I could maybe call you this afternoon and we could walk through it together? Yes. Okay. Are you free this afternoon? Okay. I'll give you a call then, maybe around 1 or 2, and we'll try to figure out what's going on. Okay. That's great. So what I've done here is I've actually reloaded the same records. And so right away it tells me that there's 3 duplicate errors and 3 bib errors. And those 3 bib errors are the duplicates. So if I go into batch, misstrike batch 295, which you guys don't have access to this yet, I'm hoping to get you access to it. But 205, you'll see here are my 3 errors. And basically it's telling me there's already a bib that matches this Library of Congress control number. So it's creating a new bib. And it does that for all 3 records. This one matched on ISBN. And it only matches on Library of Congress control number and ISBN. Same thing here. Okay, so what I would do in that case is go to my new titles, go to resume, scroll all the way down, and you can see here are 3, and then here are the other 3. So I would just delete the 3 by sending them to the MARC editor and going to File, Delete. Are you sure you want to delete this record? Now, if there were any items attached, and you can see there's no items attached, Horizon will not let you delete a MARC record with items attached. So don't worry, you're not going to accidentally delete all of somebody's stuff. So I'm going to delete that. Okay. Now, when there are on-order titles, and I'm going to go back to that new titles list and look for an on-order record. When there is an on-order record, it also has the ISBN. So you will often need to merge. You'll get a misstrike error telling you that there's a duplicate, because you'll have this little brief bib and then you're bringing in a fully cataloged record from OCLC. So I can walk you through the process. I have some handouts on how to merge records. You need to be really careful merging records, because I can undo it, but it's kind of a pain in the butt for me to undo it. So generally I only tell people to merge on-order records. Don't merge other records. Let us know and we'll take care of it here at SELCO. We do run a couple reports a couple times a month looking for duplicate ISBNs. So that would be the same ISBN in more than one record. And then we go through and we make an assessment of which one's better, which one should we keep, should we merge them together. So, okay. So we just have a few minutes left. Well, Teresa, your records are very different. You can, as long as you are merging just your music records, that's fine. Don't merge any other library's records, if that makes sense. You know, yours all say score as a GMD, so I wouldn't touch anything that doesn't say score. Okay, so we have just a couple minutes. Does anyone have any questions about this process, or want me to send them more information about merging or anything like that? I can also really briefly touch the client if you guys have any questions about the client. I know there's a couple of you on that use the client. Just real generally, the browser does a couple things. Oh, for a connection? For the browser, you mean, Cindy? Yes. Your login for connection is saved by going to, I'm going to move this. No, I'm going to log off. So your login is saved by going down here on the connection.oclc website and hitting local browser settings, and then you choose a default and you type in your numbers and you hit save setting, close window. Okay? Okay, so what your problem is more than likely is a setting in Internet Explorer that deletes your browsing history. So do you have access to your tools or your internet options in, I don't know what version of Internet Explorer you're using. I have IE 9. You might be on 8. And this is somewhere else in IE 8. So if you go to help about Internet Explorer, it'll tell you what version of Internet Explorer you're using. So, Cindy, for you it sort of depends on if you have access and the ability to edit your options, your internet options. If you don't, you need to talk to your IT person and ask them to change this setting so that it is not deleting your browsing history. Yep, so you go in here and it's, I can't remember which one it is. I think it's your cookies. Oh, passwords. I think it's passwords. So, you'll have to edit some of your settings, and then it'll allow you to save. If you log in, for those of you who use PC Reliance, if you log in as administrator instead of staff and try to do this, you'll run into that same problem. The settings for administrator delete your browser history. Settings for staff don't. I don't know. That's just how Mike has it set up. So it seems like. Okay, so real quickly, I'll just show you a few things in the Connection client. The Connection client you download from OCLC's website. Generally, I go to OCLC Google just Connection client download, and it comes up as download, and you have to log in with your OCLC number and password in order to be able to download it, and then you download it onto your computer in front of you. So it's a little nicer. And for some, and Cindy, if you keep having problems, we might end up installing the client if your IT people will let you, because you don't really download records the same way you do in the browser. You're sort of just exporting them straight to your desktop or whatever folder you dictate. So you log on, and that's again your login and password, and you can set up your authorizations right here. And sometimes I have to log in as other libraries, which is why I have this. Okay, so I log in as agent generally, and Then to do a search, I usually hit F2, just the same as Horizon, and you get all your indexes. You can also scan an ISBN right into here. That kind of makes things a little quicker, but only the ISBN works here. Oops, 27635. So you can see I've got several different records that pulled up. This is one of the examples I used before. The nice thing about the Connexion client is that it shows you immediately how many libraries have something. You don't have to click into it to see it. Let's see if we change. Yeah, we can change the view by going up to View and then List Type. And this is the brief view. And this is the truncated view. And what I like about this view is that you can see holdings right here. So it's a really good indication of probably which record you're going to want. So right away it says that this one has 166 holdings. And you go in and you can see that it was made by the Library of Congress because they're DLC. The other nice thing about the client is that you can see who else owns the library. This 040 field is who's edited the record, or in the first case of the subfield A, who's created the record. It's also for RDA, where you're going to start seeing RDA for RDA records. It tells you who's edited the record, but if you want to see who's holding the record, go to View, Holdings, and you can see all, and then you would get all 166 holdings. Or what I usually generally do is just look at the statewide holdings. So then you can see who owns this book in the state of Minnesota, and if you hover over, you can see, it translates the holdings code to the actual library. So University of Minnesota at Minneapolis, St. Olaf, Carleton, Gustavus Adolphus, can't say that, and McAllister. That is basically kind of how I use the client. The other nice thing about the client that is not available in the browser is batch processing. So I use this all the time. I will use it tomorrow to load in Dewey Day numbers that people have sent me. You enter a batch, and here you can see I've entered in a batch of these are UPCs. I was doing something with DVDs for somebody, and I loaded in a file of records, and you can go here and import, and then you just load in a file of ISBNs or a file of UPCs or whatever you want it to be, or you can just scan. So let's go to ISBN. Let's clear this out. Okay, so we clear this out. So what I'm going to do, these are all the different indexes you can search by. Basically, you can type in multiple ISBNs up here in the query. So that's one book, and then here's another one. Okay, and then you save that. And so you close it, you go to batch, you process your batch. I think I was using this folder. I want it to search online, so I hit OK. It's going to search my two records right in a row. So you can see it just did the first one and the second one. And then it brings them up for you. So the second record, it found two records. So it pulls them. You had successful searches. It puts them into what's called your local save file. So you get to that by going to search local save file. I'm in the one I was using, and I hit OK. And I should have, I have a bunch of records in here because I was using them. I've been using this file for a few things. But here they are at the bottom of the list because I didn't clean it out before. And so it just gives you what records it found when it searched those ISBNs. And I'm going to click on the first one, And okay, this is the only record for this title, so I'm going to go ahead and export it, and then I tell it where I want it to export, and generally we go to that OCLC folder. I usually use my desktop, but that's because I'm more comfortable with that. But generally you would go to this OCLC folder and save it as client download 12/4/12. Okay, so it's created a folder, and it tells you right here that you've successfully exported your file. I'm going to go to the next one in my list by navigating right here, and this one has 52, and this is Murder Most Evil, and this one, I'm going to the next one in my list, has only one person holding it. So I want this one because there's 52 holdings, and I can see right away it's a Library of Congress record. So I make sure it matches what I have in my hand, and I go ahead and I export that. And it tells me it exported it. So at that point, I've made that folder bigger, that client folder. I've added in 2 records to it. And I would then go to Horizon, go to my import. Oops, I have my import open still. So I'd go to my import. I'd go and I'd find my client download. I'd open that up. I'd import it just like you did the browser, and it tells me there were 2 records and they were both duplicates, which we know because I've been loading those same records in over and over again. So it's a little easier to use sometimes the client because it has the batch processing, which makes things a little faster, and it also avoids the pesky pop-up blockers and problems we have with browsers. But it's also a problem because you have to be able to download and install a program onto your computer, which not everybody has permissions to do. Okay, so I think that's about it. I could spend a whole hour talking about the client, but for the purpose of this, I just wanted to discuss the browser and see if there were any questions about the client. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and type them in now. Otherwise, you can ask me anything. It doesn't have to be about OCLC. It can be about emails. It can be about RDA. It can be about anything. Since you've got me, you might as well ask me. Okay, why don't I send you an email, Cindy, and we can arrange a time. Okay. No problem. Thanks, Teresa. If you guys do have any questions about anything, as always, feel free to contact me. I'm currently training a new person to help with the OCLC project, so I've been a little swamped, and getting Becky still sort of up to snuff with cataloging things, you could say. So I've been a little slow in responding to people in the last few weeks, but training is coming to an end, so I should be better soon. Let me know if you have any questions about anything. I'm going to be posting some stuff about RDA in the next day or two. And I guess that's it. So thanks for attending. And yeah, no problem. I'll contact you, Cindy. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks a lot, guys.